My father told me I was a disgrace, that I had destroyed the family name, that no daughter of his would raise a bastard child under his roof. I was 17 years old and 3 months pregnant when he threw me out. He didn't just ask me to leave. He packed my clothes in garbage bags, threw them on the front porch, and told me to go live with that boy since I'd made my choice. He said I was dead to him, that he'd rather have no daughter than a whore. I left that house with 2 trash bags, $140, and a baby growing inside me. Today, I'm 30 years old. I'm the head of the emergency department at Metropolitan General Hospital. I have my own house, a daughter who's 12 years old and thriving, and a medical degree I earned while working 3 jobs and sleeping 4 hours a night. And yesterday my father was brought into my ER. Unconscious, dying. Heart attack. He doesn't know it yet, but I'm the doctor who decides whether he lives or dies. If you've ever been called a disgrace by the person who was supposed to protect you, if you've ever been thrown out for making a mistake, if you've ever had to choose between your child and your family, then you'll understand every single word of this story. Subscribe. Because what happened in that emergency room changed everything I thought I knew about forgiveness, justice, and what it means to be the bigger person. I grew up in a religious household. My father was a deacon at our church. Every Sunday, we sat in the 3rd pew from the front. My mother wore dresses that covered her knees. My father shook hands with everyone after service, his Bible tucked under his arm, his smile wide and warm. At home, he was different, stricter, colder. There were rules. So many rules, no boys, no makeup until 16, no short skirts, no secular music, no questioning, no talking back, no deviation from the path he'd laid out. I was supposed to be perfect. The perfect daughter, the perfect example, the perfect Christian girl who'd marry a perfect Christian boy at 23, after college, after doing everything exactly right. But I wasn't perfect. I met Marcus when I was 16. He was 18, worked at the auto shop near school, had kind eyes and hands that were always stained with motor oil. He made me laugh, made me feel seen, made me feel like I was more than just the deacon's daughter. We started dating in secret, stolen moments after school, text messages deleted immediately, lies about study groups and choir practice. I knew my father would never approve. Marcus wasn't from our church, wasn't planning on college, didn't fit the image, so I hid it. For 8 months I hid it, and I thought I was careful. I thought we were safe. I was wrong. I missed my period in October, then November. By December, I knew. I took 3 pregnancy tests in the bathroom at school, all positive. I stared at those 2 pink lines and felt my entire world collapse. I was 17, senior year. I had college applications pending. I had a future planned, and now I had a baby growing inside me. I told Marcus first. We were sitting in his car outside a McDonald's. I watched his face change. Watched hope turn to fear, turn to panic. He held my hand. Said we'd figure it out. Said he'd be there. Said he loved me. I believed him. I waited 2 more weeks to tell my parents. I couldn't hide it anymore. The nausea was getting worse. My jeans were getting tight. I was running out of time. One Saturday afternoon after lunch, I asked them to sit down. My mother was folding laundry. My father was reading the newspaper. I stood in front of them, hands shaking, voice barely above a whisper. I need to tell you something. I'm pregnant. The newspaper hit the floor. My mother's hands froze mid-fold. The silence that followed was suffocating. Then my father stood up. Slowly. His face turned red. His jaw clenched. His hands formed fists at his sides. What did you just say? I repeated it. My voice cracked. I'm pregnant. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, he didn't yell. Not at first. He just stared at me like I was a stranger, like I was something disgusting he'd found on the bottom of his shoe. Then he asked the question I was dreading. Who's the father? I told him. Marcus, the boy from the auto shop. The boy I'd been hiding for 8 months. And that's when everything exploded. My father didn't just get angry. He got volcanic. He screamed that I'd been lying to him, sneaking around, disgracing the family, spitting on everything he'd taught me. He called me names I'd never heard him use, called Marcus worse names. My mother cried silently in the corner, shaking her head, whispering prayers under her breath. You will not raise a bastard in this house, he said. His voice was ice. You made your choice. Now you live with it. Call that boy. Tell him you're moving in with him. Because you're not staying here. Dad, please. I'm not your dad anymore. You threw that away the second you opened your legs for some mechanic. You're 17. You want to act like an adult? Go be an adult. Pack your things. I want you out by tonight." My mother said nothing. She just kept crying, kept whispering her prayers. She didn't defend me, didn't argue, didn't try to change his mind. She just sat there and let it happen. I called Marcus, told him what happened, asked if I could stay with him. There was a long pause on the other end, a pause that should have told me everything. But he said yes, said I could come over, said we'd make it work. I grabbed my clothes, threw them in garbage bags, and left. My father watched from the doorway, arms crossed, face hard. He didn't say goodbye, didn't say he loved me, just watched me walk away like I was taking out the trash. I was 3 months pregnant and homeless. Marcus lived in a basement apartment with 2 roommates. It smelled like weed and old pizza. There was 1 bedroom, a couch with springs poking through, and a kitchen with a broken stove. When I showed up with my garbage bags, his roommates looked at me like I was an inconvenience. Marcus cleared a space in his room, said it was temporary, said we'd figure it out. For the first week, he tried. He really did. He came home after work, asked how I was feeling, rubbed my feet when they hurt, but I could see the panic in his eyes. The reality setting in. He was 18, working minimum wage, living with roommates, and now he had a pregnant girlfriend and a baby coming. The second week, he started staying out later, coming home smelling like alcohol, avoiding eye contact. We'd sit in silence, the weight of our mistake pressing down on both of us like a physical thing. The third week, he sat me down and said the words I'd been dreading. "I can't do this." I stared at him. "What?" "I can't do this. I'm 18, Sarah. I don't have money. I don't have a plan. I don't have anything. And I can't be a dad. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I can't. So what are you saying?" "I'm saying you can't stay here anymore. I'm saying I'm not ready for this. I'm saying, I don't know what I'm saying, but I can't do this." 3 weeks. That's how long it took for him to abandon me. 3 weeks after my father kicked me out. The boy who said he loved me, who said he'd be there, who said we'd figure it out together, looked me in the eyes and told me to leave. I had nowhere to go. I spent that night on a bench outside a 24-hour diner. It was February. Cold. I wrapped myself in a jacket that didn't fit anymore and cried until I had no tears left. I was 17, pregnant, and alone. Completely alone. My father hated me. My mother had chosen silence. Marcus had abandoned me. I had no family, no friends who could help, no money beyond the $140 in my pocket. For the first time in my life, I understood what it meant to have absolutely nothing. Over the next few days, I found a women's shelter. They had a bed, shared bathroom, curfew at 9 p.m., rules posted on every wall. But it was warm. It was safe. It was somewhere. I stayed there for 2 months. Slept in a room with 5 other women. Adi donated food. Attended mandatory life skills classes. And I felt my baby grow inside me while I figured out how to survive. I got a job at a grocery store. Stocking shelves, cleaning, minimum wage. $4.25 an hour. I worked as many hours as they'd give me, saved every penny. By my 3rd trimester, I'd saved enough for a tiny studio apartment. $300 a month. No heat, roaches in the kitchen. But it was mine. Just mine and my baby. I gave birth alone. June 14th, a girl. 7 pounds, 3 ounces. Perfect. I named her Emma. And when they placed her in my arms, I made a promise. I promised her I would give her everything. I promised her she would never feel unwanted. Never feel like a mistake. Never feel like a burden. I promised her I would fight for her every single day for the rest of my life, and I did. The first 3 years were hell. Pure, unfiltered hell. I worked 3 jobs. Grocery store during the day. Waitress at night. Cleaning offices on weekends. Emma stayed with a neighbor who charged me $20 a day to watch her. $20 I could barely afford. I ate ramen noodles for dinner. Wore the same 3 outfits on rotation. Walked everywhere because I couldn't afford a car. There were nights I sat on the bathroom floor and cried because I was so tired I couldn't see straight. Nights I fed Emma and went to bed hungry because there wasn't enough food for both of us. Nights I held her while she slept and wondered if I'd made a terrible mistake. If she would have been better off somewhere else. With someone else. Someone who could give her more than hand-me-down clothes and a roach-infested apartment. But every morning, She'd wake up smiling. She'd reach for me with her tiny hands. She'd say "Mama" in that perfect little voice. And I'd find the strength to keep going, because she needed me, because I'd promised her, because giving up wasn't an option. When Emma turned 3, I enrolled in community college, night classes. I studied to be a nurse. It would take me longer than normal, 5 years instead of 2, because I could only take 1 or 2 classes a semester. But it was a path forward, a way to build something better. I studied after Emma went to sleep. I studied on my breaks at work. I studied on the bus. I failed tests because I was too exhausted to concentrate. I retook classes. I cried in my car between jobs. But I kept going. By the time Emma was 8, I was a registered nurse. I got a job at Metropolitan General Hospital. Real salary, benefits, health insurance. I moved us into a better apartment. 2 bedrooms. No roaches. Heat that actually worked. Emma had her own room for the first time in her life. I cried when I set up her bed. If you've ever fought for something with everything you have, if you've ever gone hungry so your child could eat, if you've ever been told you'd never make it and proved them wrong, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Subscribe if this story is resonating with you, because what happens next, when I see my father again after 12 years, is something I never could have predicted. I didn't stop at nursing. Once I had stable income, once Emma was in school, once I could breathe for the first time in years, I applied to medical school. People told me I was crazy, told me I was too old, that I had too much on my plate, that single mothers don't become doctors, that I should be happy with nursing. I ignored them all. Medical school was brutal. 4 years of sleepless nights, mountains of debt, and constant doubt. I studied while Emma did her homework. I practiced sutures on chicken breasts in our kitchen. I cried in hospital supply closets during rotations. Emma was my motivation, my reason. Every time I wanted to quit, I looked at her and remembered why I started. I graduated top of my class, did my residency in emergency medicine, became an attending physician, then assistant director, then, at 30 years old, head of the emergency department at Metropolitan General. The little girl my father threw out for getting pregnant had become Dr. Sarah Mitchell. The disgrace of the family was now saving lives. The bastard child he didn't want under his roof was being raised by a woman who'd built everything from nothing, and he had no idea, because I never reached out. Never called, never tried to reconcile. My mother sent one letter when Emma was 5, a short, carefully worded letter saying she prayed for us, that she hoped we were okay, that my father was still too hurt to talk. There was no return address, no phone number, no way to respond. It was a message that said, "We know you exist, but we don't want to be part of your life." I threw the letter away, cried for 2 days, then moved on. I built a life without them. Emma grew up never knowing her grandfather, never knowing that side of the family existed. I told her they'd passed away. It was easier than explaining they'd chosen to be dead to us. For 12 years, I didn't think about my father. I buried that pain so deep I convinced myself it didn't exist anymore. I told myself I'd moved on, that I'd healed, that I didn't care. I was lying to myself. Yesterday was a Tuesday. Normal shift. I came in at 6 a.m. The ER was already busy. Car accident in Trauma Bay 1. Chest pain in 2. Possible stroke in 3. I moved between rooms efficiently, making decisions, giving orders, saving lives. This was my world now. Controlled chaos. Life and death. And I was good at it. At 2:15 p.m., ambulance sirens wailed outside. Paramedics rushed in with a stretcher. 62-year-old male. Massive MI. Lost pulse twice on the way. We got him back, but he's unstable. Massive MI. Massive myocardial infarction. Major heart attack. I moved toward the trauma bay, my team already mobilizing. They wheeled him in. I glanced down at the patient's face while pulling on gloves, and my entire world stopped. It was my father. Older. Grayer. Thinner. But unmistakably him. The same face that looked at me with disgust 12 years ago. The same man who called me a disgrace and threw me out. Lying unconscious on a stretcher. Dying. My hands froze mid-glove. One of my residents looked at me. "Dr. Mitchell? Are you okay?" I couldn't speak. Couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. 12 years of buried pain hit me all at once like a freight train. My vision blurred. My heart pounded. Every nerve in my body screamed at me to run, to walk away, to let someone else handle this. But I'm a doctor. I took an oath. And despite everything he did to me, despite every cruel word and every moment of suffering, I couldn't just let him die. "I'm fine," I heard myself say. "Let's move." We worked on him for 40 minutes. Chest compressions, medications, defibrillation, intubation, every protocol by the book. I called out orders with mechanical precision, my voice steady even though inside I was screaming. My hands moved automatically, doing what they'd been trained to do, saving the man who destroyed me. We stabilized him. Barely. His heart was severely damaged. He needed emergency surgery, catheterization, stents, possibly bypass. The cardiothoracic surgeon was on his way. My father would live. For now. As the room cleared and he was prepped for transfer to ICU, I stood at the foot of his bed and really looked at him. He'd aged. Deep lines around his eyes, gray hair where there used to be black, thinner frame. He looked smaller than I remembered. Less imposing, less terrifying, just an old man whose heart was failing. I pulled up his chart on the computer. His emergency contact was listed as Margaret Mitchell, my mother. There was a phone number. I stared at it for a long time. 12 years since I'd heard her voice, since I'd seen her face. Part of me wanted to call. Part of me wanted to throw the computer across the room. I called. She answered on the third ring. "Hello?" Her voice. God, her voice. It broke something in me I didn't know was still intact. "Mrs. Mitchell." "Yes? This is Dr. Sarah Mitchell. I'm calling from Metropolitan General Hospital. Your husband was brought in about an hour ago. He suffered a massive heart attack. He's stable now, but he's going to need surgery. You should come in." There was a long silence. I could hear her breathing. Could almost hear her thinking. Processing. "Dr. Mitchell?" she repeated slowly. "Sarah?" Yes, another silence. Longer this time. "Oh my God. Sarah, is it really you?" She arrived 20 minutes later. I saw her in the waiting room before she saw me. She looked older too. More gray hair. Deeper wrinkles. Tired eyes. She was sitting in a plastic chair, hands clasped in her lap, head bowed. Praying, probably. Always praying. I approached slowly. My heart was hammering. "Mrs. Mitchell?" She looked up, and I watched her face go through the same journey my father's would go through when he woke up. Confusion. Recognition. Shock. Disbelief. Her mouth opened. No sound came out. She stood up shakily. "Sarah?" "Hi, Mom." She covered her mouth with both hands. Tears filled her eyes immediately. Oh my God, you're a doctor? You're his doctor?" "I'm the head of the ER, yes." She stared at me like I was a ghost, like I was something impossible. You look so different, so grown up, so... It's been 12 years. The words hung between us. Heavy, loaded. 12 years of silence. 12 years of abandonment. 12 years of her choosing him over me. "I prayed for you," she whispered. "Every day. Every single day. I prayed you were okay. That you and the baby were okay." Her name is Emma. She's 12. She's in 7th grade. She gets straight A's. She wants to be a veterinarian. And she has no idea you exist because I told her you were dead. Both of you. Because it was easier than explaining that you chose your husband over your daughter and granddaughter. My mother flinched like I'd slapped her. Tears streamed down her face. "Sarah, your husband is going to need bypass surgery. Triple bypass, most likely. It's risky at his age, but without it, he'll die. The surgeon will be here within the hour to talk to you about options. Do you have any questions? Professional. Cold. Clinical." I sounded like I was talking to a stranger, because that's what she was now. A stranger who happened to share my DNA? "Can I see him?" "He's unconscious, sedated, but yes. Room 7 ICU, 3rd floor. Will you be there? When he wakes up?" I looked at her for a long moment. At this woman who'd given birth to me, raised me, taught me to pray, and then sat in silence while my father destroyed me. "No," I said. "I've done my part. He's not my patient anymore. Dr. Williams will handle his care from here. Sarah, please. I have other patients to see." "Excuse me," I walked away, left her standing there crying in the waiting room, and I didn't look back. I tried to focus on work, tried to lose myself in other cases, but my hands were shaking. My mind was scattered. I kept making small mistakes, ordering the wrong tests, forgetting patient names. One of my nurses pulled me aside. "Dr. Mitchell, are you okay? You seem soft." "I'm fine. You're not fine. You've been staring at that chart for 5 minutes without moving. What's going on?" I looked at her. Sarah Chen, one of my best nurses, someone I'd worked with for 4 years, someone I trusted, and I couldn't hold it in anymore. The patient in ICU, the heart attack. "That's my father." Her eyes widened. "What?" "I haven't seen him in 12 years. He kicked me out when I was 17, pregnant, called me a disgrace, told me I was dead to him, and now he's here, and I saved his life. And I don't know how to feel about it." She stared at me, then pulled me into an empty exam room and closed the door. "Sit down. Talk to me," and I did. For the first time in 12 years, I told someone the whole story. Everything. The pregnancy. The expulsion. Marcus abandoning me. The shelter. The 3 jobs. The Roach apartment. Medical school. Emma. All of it. I cried while I talked. Big, ugly, shoulder-shaking sobs. 12 years of buried pain pouring out all at once. When I finished, Sarah didn't say anything. She just hugged me, held me while I cried, let me fall apart in a way I hadn't let myself fall apart since Emma was born. "What are you going to do?" she finally asked. "I don't know. Part of me wants to walk into his room when he wakes up and tell him exactly what I think of him. Part of me wants to never see him again. Part of me wants. I don't even know what I want." "Do you want him to know who saved him?" I thought about that, did I? Did I want him to wake up and see me standing there in a white coat with MD after my name? Did I want him to know that the daughter he threw away had become the doctor who held his life in her hands? "Yes," I said. "I think I do." My father woke up 2 days later. I wasn't there. I'd made sure I wasn't there. Dr. Williams called me at home around 8 p.m. "Your father's awake. Stable. Surgery went well. He's asking for his wife." "Good, that's good." "Sarah, he's asking about you too." I froze. "What?" Your mother told him. "Told him you were the doctor who saved him. He wants to see you." "I don't care what he wants." "I understand. But I think you should know. He's crying. Your mother said he hasn't stopped crying since she told him." I hung up, sat on my couch staring at the wall. Emma was at a sleepover. The house was quiet. Too quiet. I poured a glass of wine. Then another. Then another. And I thought about everything. About being 17 and scared and alone. About sleeping on benches. About eating ramen for weeks. About working 3 jobs. About studying until I couldn't keep my eyes open. About building a life from nothing. About the man who'd thrown me away like garbage and now wanted to see me because I'd saved his life. At 10 p.m. I made a decision. I drove to the hospital. Parked in the doctor's lot. Took the elevator to ICU. Walked down the sterile hallway to room 7. Stood outside the door for 5 full minutes. My hand on the handle. My heart pounding. Every instinct screaming at me to run. I opened the door. He was sitting up slightly. Oxygen cannula in his nose. IV lines in both arms. Heart monitor beeping steadily. He looked small in that hospital bed. Fragile. Nothing like the imposing figure from my childhood. My mother was sitting in the chair beside him, holding his hand. They both looked up when I entered. My mother started crying immediately. My father's face did something complicated. Shock, shame, regret, pain, all at once. "Sarah," he whispered. His voice was weak, hoarse from the breathing tube. I closed the door behind me, stayed near it, kept my distance, crossed my arms. "Dr. Mitchell," I corrected. "It's Dr. Mitchell." He closed his eyes. A tear rolled down his cheek. "I'm sorry, 2 words. After 12 years. 2 words. You're sorry. I'm so sorry. For everything. For all of it." "I was wrong. I was so wrong," I laughed. A bitter, sharp sound. "You were wrong. That's it? You threw me out when I was 17 and pregnant. You called me a disgrace. You told me I was dead to you. You watched me walk away with garbage bags and never called. Never checked if I was okay. Never cared if I was alive or dead. And now, 12 years later, after I saved your life, you're sorry. I know, there's nothing I can say. Nothing that makes it right. You're damn right there's nothing you can say." My mother spoke up. "Sarah, please. He's sick. He almost died. Can we please just—" "What?" I turned to her. "Can we just what? Pretend it never happened? Pretend you didn't choose him over me? Pretend you didn't sit there silently while he destroyed me? Pretend you didn't let me walk out that door and never come back?" She looked down, ashamed. I should have fought for you. I should have stood up to him. I was weak. I was a coward. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't want your apologies. Either of you. I don't need them. I built a life without you. A good life. I have a daughter who's incredible. I have a career I'm proud of. I have everything I need. And I did it without you. Despite you. My father was openly crying now. Please let me meet her. Let me meet my granddaughter. Let me try to make this right. Make it right? I stepped closer to the bed. You can't make it right. You can't give me back the 12 years I spent thinking I was worthless. You can't give me back the nights I cried myself to sleep. You can't give me back the hunger and the fear and the pain. You can't undo any of it. And Emma is not your granddaughter. She's my daughter, mine, and she doesn't need grandparents who would have called her a bastard. I was wrong, he said again, broken, defeated. I was so wrong. I thought I was protecting the family. I thought I was upholding our values, but I destroyed the most important thing. I destroyed my daughter, and I've regretted it every day for 12 years. You don't get to regret it now. You don't get to decide, after more than a decade, that you made a mistake. Where were you when I was homeless? When I was hungry? When I was working 3 jobs? When I was studying for medical school with a toddler sleeping next to my textbooks? You weren't there. You chose not to be there. And now you want forgiveness because I'm successful? Because I saved your life? Because I turned out okay despite you? No. I want forgiveness because I'm a broken old man who threw away his daughter and has to live with that for the rest of his life. However long that is, I looked at him. Really looked at him. At the man who'd shaped so much of my pain. Who'd been the villain in my story for so long. And I saw what he was now. Sick. Old. Dying. Regretful. Human. And I felt nothing. No anger. No satisfaction. No relief. Just emptiness. I saved your life because I'm a doctor and that's what I do, I said quietly. Not because you're my father. Not because I forgive you. But because I took an oath. That's it. That's all you get from me. Can we try? Can I try to be part of your life? Part of Emma's life? I thought about that. Really thought about it. Part of me wanted to say yes. Wanted to give him a chance. Wanted to believe people could change. But another part of me, the part that remembered 17-year-old Sarah sleeping on a bench, the part that remembered being called a disgrace, the part that remembered the garbage bags. That part said no. I don't know, I said honestly. I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if Emma deserves to know that her grandparents exist and chose not to know her for 12 years. I don't know if you've earned the right to be in our lives. I don't know anything except that I'm tired and confused, and I need time. My father nodded. Take all the time you need. I'll wait. However long it takes, I'll wait. I turned to leave, hand on the door handle. Then I stopped, looked back. You know what the worst part is? The worst part isn't that you kicked me out. The worst part is that you made me think I was worthless, that I was a mistake, that I didn't deserve love. It took me years to unlearn that, years to believe I was worth something. And Emma almost paid the price for your cruelty, because there were nights I looked at her and wondered if I was making a mistake, if she'd be better off without me. That's what you did. That's your legacy. I left before he could respond. Left him crying in that hospital bed. Left my mother holding his hand and weeping. And I went home to my daughter, to the life I'd built without them. That night, Emma asked me a question that broke my heart. Mom, are you okay? You seem sad. I was tucking her into bed. She looked up at me with those big brown eyes. So perceptive, so kind, so much better than I ever was at her age. I'm okay, baby. Just tired. You're sure? You can talk to me, you know. I'm not a baby anymore, I smiled. Brushed her hair out of her face. I know you're not. When did you get so grown up? I've always been grown up. You just haven't noticed, I laughed. A real laugh. The first one in days. You're right. You have been. She sat up slightly. Mom, can I ask you something? Always. Why don't I have grandparents? Like, I know you said they died, but I don't know. Sometimes I feel like there's more to it. I froze. 12 years. 12 years of lying, of protecting her from the truth. And now she was asking. Really asking. It's complicated, baby. I'm 12. I can handle complicated. I sat on the edge of her bed, took a deep breath, and I made a decision. I told her the truth. Not all of it. Not the ugly parts. But enough. I told her my parents and I had a falling out when I was young, that we hadn't spoken in many years, that it was painful and complicated, and I'd been trying to protect her from it. She listened quietly. Didn't interrupt. When I finished, she asked one question. Do they know about me? They do now. Do they want to meet me? They say they do. Do you want them to meet me? And that was the question, wasn't it? Did I want my father, who called me a disgrace, to meet my daughter, who was the best thing that ever happened to me? Did I want him to see what he missed? Did I want to give him the chance to be a grandfather when he'd failed so spectacularly at being a father? I don't know yet, I said honestly. How would you feel about it? She thought for a long moment. I think I'd like to meet them, even if it's weird, even if it's hard, because they're part of where I came from, right? And maybe they've changed. People can change, can't they? Out of the mouths of babes. Yes, I whispered. People can change. Sometimes. I went back to the hospital the next day. Not because I'd forgiven him. Not because I'd decided anything. But because Emma deserved to make her own choice. And because 12-year-old her was wiser than 30-year-old me. My father was sitting up, eating, or trying to eat, hospital food. He looked better. Less gray, more alert. My mother was still there, of course. She probably hadn't left. I have a question, I said without preamble. No greeting, no small talk. They both looked up. If you meet Emma, what do you tell her? How do you explain 12 years of absence? My father set down his fork. I tell her the truth. That I made a terrible mistake. That I hurt her mother. That I missed out on knowing her because of my own pride and stubbornness. And that I hope, if she's willing, I can try to be a grandfather to her now. And what if she asks why? What if she asks why you threw me out? He didn't look away. Didn't flinch. I tell her that her mother got pregnant at 17. That I was angry and scared and thought I was protecting my family's reputation. That I said and did things I can never take back. That I was wrong. Completely wrong. And that her mother is one of the strongest people I've ever known for surviving it and thriving anyway. I stared at him, searching for dishonesty, for manipulation, for any sign that this was an act. But I saw only regret, raw, genuine regret. She wants to meet you, I said quietly. I told her the truth last night. Not all of it, but enough. And she wants to meet you, so I'm going to bring her here, once, one meeting. And after that she decides, not me. Not you, her. If she wants to know you, then we'll figure it out. If she doesn't, then you respect that and disappear. Understood? Understood, my father said. Thank you. Thank you for giving me a chance. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for her. Don't forget that. I brought Emma the next Saturday. She wore her favorite dress, blue with white flowers. She'd spent an hour getting ready, nervous and excited. We drove to the hospital in silence. She held my hand in the elevator. Are you scared? I asked, a little. Are you? A little. Will you stay with me? The whole time. I promise. We walked into his room together. He was sitting in a chair now, out of bed, looking stronger. My mother was beside him. They both stood when we entered. Both stared at Emma like she was a miracle. Hi, Emma said shyly. I'm Emma. My father's eyes filled with tears. Hi, Emma. I'm your grandfather. And this is your grandmother. I know. Mom told me about you. She did? Yeah, she said you guys had a fight a long time ago, and that you haven't talked in a while, but that maybe we could all try to be a family now. My father looked at me, grateful, shocked that I'd framed it that way, that I'd given him a chance he didn't deserve. We'd like that very much, he said. If you'd like that too. Emma walked closer, studied him. You look like my mom. Same eyes. He laughed through his tears. She has my eyes. And apparently my stubbornness too. She's very stubborn, Emma agreed. But in a good way, she never gives up, even when things are really hard. No, she doesn't. She's remarkable. Emma turned to me. Can I talk to them alone for a minute? I hesitated. Are you sure? I'm sure. Just for a few minutes? I looked at my father, warning him with my eyes. Don't hurt her. Don't you dare hurt her. He nodded, understanding. I'll be right outside, I said. I left the room, stood in the hallway, paced, wondered what they were saying. What Emma was asking. After 10 minutes, she came out, smiling. Okay, I'm ready to go. How did it go? It was nice. They seem nice. Grandma cried a lot. Grandpa told me about when you were little. about how you used to hide books under your pillow, about how you wanted to be a doctor even when you were small. He remembered that. He remembers a lot. He said he's sorry, that he's really, really sorry, and I believe him. Do you want to see them again? She thought about it. Yeah, I think I do. Not all the time. But sometimes, is that okay? I knelt down to her level. That's completely okay. This is your choice, Emma. Always your choice. Do you want to see them? And that was the question I'd been avoiding. Did I? I don't know yet, I admitted, but I'm working on it. Over the next few months, something unexpected happened. Emma started visiting them. Once a week at first, then twice. My mother would pick her up, take her to their house, and bring her back. My father was recovering well, healing, growing stronger. And slowly, against my will, I started to heal too. Not because I forgave him. Not because I forgot, but because watching Emma have grandparents, watching her be loved by them in a way I never was, it helped. It didn't erase the pain, but it helped. One afternoon, my father asked to meet with me alone. Just us. Emma was with my mother baking cookies. We sat in his living room, the same living room where he'd told me to leave 12 years ago. I don't expect forgiveness, he said. I don't deserve it. But I need you to know something. You are not a disgrace. You never were. You were a scared 17-year-old who made a mistake. And instead of helping you, instead of loving you, I destroyed you. Or tried to. But you didn't let me. You survived. You thrived. You became a doctor. You raised an incredible daughter. You did all of that without me. And I'm so proud of you it hurts. I didn't say anything. Just listened. I was raised in a different time, he continued, by a father who believed in shame and punishment, who believed that love was conditional, that acceptance had to be earned. And I passed that down to you. I broke the thing I was supposed to protect, and I'll spend the rest of my life trying to make up for it. Not because I think I can, but because you deserve that effort. Why now? I asked. Why not 5 years ago? 10 years ago? Why did it take a heart attack for you to care? Because I'm a coward. Because I was too ashamed to face what I'd done. Because every year that passed made it harder to reach out, until it felt impossible. Until I convinced myself you were better off without me. But I thought about you every day. Wondered where you were, what you were doing. If you were okay. Your mother cried herself to sleep for 3 years. Did you know that? 3 years of praying and crying and begging me to find you. And I was too proud to try. You broke her too. I broke everyone, including myself. We sat in silence for a long time. Finally I spoke. I don't know if I can forgive you. Not completely. The wounds are too deep. But I can try to move forward. For Emma. Because she deserves to have grandparents. And because holding on to anger is exhausting. I'm tired of being angry. I'm tired of carrying this. That's more than I deserve. More than I could ever ask for. Don't make me regret it. I won't. I swear to you, I won't. Today, I'm 30 years old. I'm the head of emergency medicine at Metropolitan General Hospital. I have a 12-year-old daughter who's brilliant and kind and everything I hoped she'd be. And I have a complicated, imperfect, still healing relationship with my parents. It's not perfect. It never will be. There are still moments where I look at my father and remember the words he said. Still moments where I feel that old anger bubble up. Still moments where I have to walk away and breathe and remind myself why I'm doing this. But there are also moments where I see him teaching Emma to fish. Where I see my mother braiding her hair. Where I see Emma laugh at one of his terrible jokes. And in those moments, I feel something close to peace. Here's what I learned. Forgiveness isn't forgetting. Forgiveness isn't erasing the past. Forgiveness isn't even reconciliation. Forgiveness is the choice to stop letting the past control your future. It's the choice to carry your scars without letting them define you. It's the choice to see the person who hurt you as a flawed, complicated human being instead of a villain. But here's what you need to know. You don't owe forgiveness to anyone. Not to your parents. Not to the people who hurt you. Not to anyone. If the wound is too deep, if the pain is too great, if you choose to walk away and never look back, that's valid. That's okay. Your peace matters more than anyone's redemption arc. What I did was my choice, based on my situation, based on my daughter's needs, based on my own capacity for healing. It might not be the right choice for you, and that's okay. But if you're a parent, if you're listening to this and recognizing yourself in my father's mistakes, hear this. It's not too late. It's never too late to apologize, to reach out, to try. Your children might not forgive you. They might not let you back in, but at least you tried. At least you gave them the choice. Don't let pride rob you of your family. Don't let shame keep you silent. Swallow your ego and try. Because 12 years is a long time to be dead to someone you love. If this story touched you, leave a like. If you've been in a similar situation, as the child or the parent, share your story in the comments. You're not alone. Subscribe for more real stories about family, forgiveness, and the messy, complicated truth about what it means to rebuild broken relationships. My name is Sarah. I'm 30 years old. I'm a doctor. I'm a mother. I'm a daughter. And this is my story. Thank you for listening.